feel like I'm not mentally prepared to talk about this book. But we're gonna do it anyway. No plans, no nothing. We're just gonna speak the mind and see what happens. And of course I am talking about Outlander by Dianna Gabaldon.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I?
Hello, my name is Indy and today I'm going to be doing a book review on a book that I really love. I just finished reading it this morning and I was like, it's time to review this amazing book. So I'm going to start with a little spoiler-free sort of talk and then I'm getting into the spoilers. So if you haven't read it, I suggest you leave because you really don't want to spoil yourself for this book because it's just amazing. Now this book, it took me almost a month to read this book because not only was I reading sort of some other books, but it's just a ginormous book. It's 662 pages of just bam. This is the 20th anniversary edition that I bought because I was like, go big or go home for buying this. And then it has, in this edition, it has sort of little annotations, stories in the back, you know, a reader's guide, a little timeline. So I felt like it was going to be good, and yeah, so I'm going to be walking through this little book just a little bit here now, and then we'll get into the non-spoilery sort of discussion. Now I want to start off by showing you why this book took me like a month to read. Okay, are you ready? Do you see? It's a largish type book, but do you see how small this writing is? Like yeah? Do you not see how crazy that is? These were my favorite thing ever because I could actually stop at some point. But this book is just massive. So I finished reading this morning and on the Goodreads I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I found some little bits boring here and there, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Like, that's part of the book, part of the story, and I wouldn't change it. It's just how it is. Just because I found it boring doesn't mean it's actually bad. Like, it was probably wonderful, it just wasn't my favorite part to read, unfortunately. But it's just everything, this book. I loved it so much. Now I'm going to read you a part in the back of the book where Dianna Gabaldon explains exactly what her book is about. And these are sort of in the some general questions part of the reader's guide in the book. And it says, Dianna Gabaldon's own description of Outlander contents as follows. History, warfare, medicine, sex, violence, spirituality, honor, betrayal, vengeance, hope and despair, relationships, the building and destruction of families and societies, time travel, moral ambiguity, swords, horses, herbs, gambling with cards, dice and lives, voyages of daring, journeys of both body and soul. Literally, that's encases this whole book. Like, I don't even know how else to describe. That was just everything that is the entirety of the book. So Outlander is a historical sort of romance novel by Dianna Gabaldon. It's the first of 8 in the series of huge books. Huge, like 600 is the smallest. It goes up to like 1400 pages in one book. And I'm like, knowing how big these pages are and how little the writing is, I'm like, that is going to take me like a year to read. But Outlander starts off with Claire Randall, and in 1945 she was an ex-combat nurse in World War II, and she is with her husband Frank going around the British Isles, and they're in Scotland having sort of another honeymoon. They've been married 6 years, but they were separated for about 5 because of the war. At some point during her time there in Scotland, Claire comes across Craig Nadoon, which is some rocks really, and she touches it and she's transported back to 1743. Crazy, 1743, Scotland, and crazy stuff happens from there. It's like, what? So it's sort of about her adventure there, and lots of crazy things happen and things that just overwhelming, and I feel changed, and oh my god, I don't even know about this book. As soon as I finished reading this, I just felt dazed and like in a trance, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, it's done. It's been the part of my life for the better part of a month, and it was just such an overwhelming journey that I couldn't believe. There was just crazy brutality and romance and adventure and so much happened. I just felt really, whoa, so life-changing for me. Oh, I feel a bit like, how am I supposed to go back to YA now from this? Like, it's just, I don't know, it's an adult novel and it was just so, I was so in depth with it, and I just, going back to YA seems so like it's not gonna give me the same sort of craziness this gave me, and you should definitely pick it up. If you like historical fiction, I guess romance even, like barbarianism, I don't think that's a good thing to say. You like time traveling and, I don't know, just learning about old times and stuff. That's what I love about historical fiction, is just seeing how people adjust to different time frames, like back in the day where they didn't have a lot of, you know, they didn't have any technology or anything, you know, riding around on horses and that sort of stuff. And I just find it so interesting to see how the characters adapt to that sort of stuff. So I think it's a definite read for anyone. You don't really have to like, you know, like adult fiction or anything. Like, I just picked it up. I'd never really read too much adult fiction myself before, but it was just amazing and I really enjoyed it, and you should definitely pick it up. One of the things I love most about Outlander is it feels real to me. I do feel like these characters are real sometimes. Like, I don't know, I can't imagine they're not, because it's so long ago. How could I know that they're not? And it's just so engrossing that I feel like these characters are real. I don't know, it's such a weird feeling to think that I think they're real somewhere in some time, and it's beautiful kind of because of that. As well as reading this book, the TV show is on the Starz network in America, which is, I assume, some paid TV type thing, and they have done the first sort of half of the series of this book, so half-ish of this book I believe, and the second half of the TV series is coming back April 4th. I've already watched the first 2 episodes because I was sort of near the end of the book and I was like, I can watch the first 2 episodes. And so that's another great incentive to read this, is you read the book and then you can watch the TV show, which is really good in my opinion. I've started watching it and I'm really excited to keep watching it because it's amazing to see a book come to life, and TV shows are usually always better when they try and bring out a book series because they don't have to try and cram it into a 2-hour movie, they can length it out. And it's kind of like Game of Thrones in the respect that they're like hour-long episodes for like a chapter or like a couple of chapters, and I'm like, get all the information in. So now we're going to get on to the spoilery talks about it, and if you haven't read it, I will link 2 of my favourite YouTubers down below, and they both did non-spoiler reviews about Outlander, and yes, we'll link them down below for you to watch. And thank you so much for watching so far. Go read it, and then you can come back and you can watch this spoilery review. Now for the spoilery discussions, I'm gonna keep it real simple because my mind is still mind-blowing from everything that happened. There was so much, I just don't even know how to even begin to talk about it, and in depth it would take me so long and I just literally don't remember. So I'm going to go through a few points and quickly describe them. So I loved how Jamie called her Sassenach as like sort of, you know, sort of mean but like cute pet name. I loved their wedding. I loved the stories that Jamie told. Most of them were horrible and brutal, generally about Captain Randall and his father and Dougal and all these people beating him and stuff, but they were always so interesting. I also liked the other stories that everyone told around, like sort of when they were travelling, like Ned Gowan and Dougal and Murtagh, and they're just telling stories about different sorts of things. And I really just enjoyed listening to them talk about sort of stupid things that just were just wonderful. I don't know, it was just so great. I love the development of Jamie and Claire's relationship, and just the character development of lots of the characters in general. Claire and Jamie, you know, their first love scene was really ridiculously funny because he was just like, but they had so much sex in this book, but it wasn't like ridiculous. Like there was a lot and a lot, but it wasn't in depth or anything. It was not very detailed. They would just have like a couple sentences sometimes and that was it. So it wasn't horrible to keep reading about them having sex all the time. But I just loved their character development, how they hate each other but they really loved each other so much, and I just loved seeing them travel around together in places and trying to find each other and all these crazy things. Towards the end of the book that we find out lots of things that happened, and we go to Lallybrook and we meet Jenny, his sister, and her husband. and just to see where he grew up and his estate, and there was a lot of fighting in that scene, like as in verbal like fighting between Jenny and Jamie, but Jenny and Jamie. But no, I really liked that we went back to his place, and the whole Wentworth prison thing was out of control, crazy at the end there. About Captain Randall. I'm a bit confused. I was like, what? Because he died earlier. He was supposed to die in 1945. I think it was April 16th. Claire told him because she knows these things, and she like killed him, or someone killed him back in like 1943. So we're like, what happens to Frank's line? Because he didn't have any kids or anything. So I'm interested to see what happens with that if she ever goes back to 1945. But man, it was so interesting. He's such a strange character, old Randall. He's gay, essentially, is what it was. Like, he was taking everything out on Jamie, but he really loved Jamie. It was very strange, but I was like, whoa, he's such an in-depth character that we didn't expect to get all that sort of information from, and it was amazing. I really love the ending of the book where it's sort of up to Claire and Jamie where they want to go now, what they want to do with their lives, and I'm assuming they're going to go back to the battle that she's talking about, 1744, 1745 there, that big battle. I assume that's going to happen in one of the other books, but at the moment it's just sort of up in the air, and it was a really good ending. But by far, my favourite part that I was like gobsmacked at, page 400. She meets this girl at Castle Leoch and in the town named Gilly Duncan, and oh my god, she is called a witch and stuff, and there's one part where Claire realises that she has this a shot, like a needle scar on her for smallpox, and I was like, oh my god, right now. She's from the future as well. So Gilly Duncan is not even a witch, she just is from the future, and that was definitely the best part by far. I was so shocked. I really had to go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my god, best part. Now the parts I didn't like was when Claire tried to leave Jamie when he took her back to Cray Nadoon and was like, okay, go back to your time, and she was like, ah. I'm so happy that she stayed because I was like, no, like I wanted to obviously see what happened if she went back to Frank in 1945, but I was like, don't do it, don't do it. Another part that I really didn't like was, it was a necessary part of the book, but it made me so sad, was when, because she ran away to go back there herself at one point and then was captured by Randall, Jamie was like, you need to be punished for putting everyone at risk, and he was freaking whipping her or whatever. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was like the worst part ever. I was just like, ah, don't do it. He kept whipping her and she was like, no. And it just got really fierce and horrible, and I just didn't like that part at all. Two other parts I didn't really like, but as I said, I don't think they were bad. They were a necessary part of the book. Was when he was sick after Wentworth prison. I thought he actually lost his hand at that part in Wentworth. But he had his left hand, but his right hand got stabbed with like knives and things. But I really thought that he'd actually lost his right hand. And then I found out towards the end he really wasn't that bad. So I was like, okay, I can deal with that. I'm happy. I just didn't like the whole sickness bit after, because it was really quite kind of boring, because he was like, I'm dying, and then I don't know what she did. She tried to summon a ghost or something, so I don't even know what happened, but somehow he got better. That part just confused me so hardcore, where she was trying to summon a ghost and then she was pretending to be Randall and all these things, so I don't really know what happened there, but he was better, and that made the end really good. I also didn't really like the whole, him getting better in France, the whole, that sort of bit where he was at the Abbey and stuff. That wasn't anything I was particularly interested in. I don't have any problem with Christianity or anything like that, I just didn't enjoy that whole section there because it was just not very interesting to me, unfortunately. So overall, Outlander was an amazing book. You should read it and watch the TV show, and I'm just so happy. I feel like it's changed me personally, and I just cannot wait to read the next ones, and I can't believe she's still publishing new ones at the moment. So I was literally like 5 seconds away from saying thank you for watching and goodbye, but my camera keeps dying. I've been charging it and filming, charging and filming on and off for the last like 2 hours. And so I'm just gonna say my goodbye here on my phone because thank you camera for dying. I'm not gonna charge it again because I literally have 2 seconds left to say anything. So thank you for watching my spoiler and spoiler-free review on Outlander. It was a lot of thinking to try and get this out. I wasn't doing planning, and then I was like, I kinda need to plan what I'm gonna say. But thank you for it. I hope it was alright, and I hope you enjoyed the book if you go and read it. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!